Hello ladies and gentlemen YouTubers, I'm trying to talk a little bit louder, partly because I've got the heater a bit closer tonight, this afternoon tonight. I'm actually starting in the daylight this time, so I'm hoping to maybe get a bit more done, or depends. But I'm thinking, I've just been having a look around the bike before I started recording. I'm thinking of possibly getting the radiator on as well. The earth strap I was telling you that goes from the back of the engine and up through the frame. I've been looking at the diagrams again. No, that is incorrect, unfortunately. I need to loosen that off, and I will show you where that actually does go. I have been looking through some of the manuals to see where the piping, the water pipes and all where the electrical wires will be going. Most of them are done correct anyway. There's only one or two different ones where I thought it's not quite where it should have been. So I think I can loosen that bolt off from under the frame, probably with a ratchet spanner, if not a normal spanner, and then I should be able to rotate it around, pull it out from under the frame, between the frame and the frame, yeah, and rotate it around and put it where it's supposed to go. The bike's there in the background. This morning, or part of this morning, I have been getting everything tidied up in here for the drag bike to come in. Now the drag bike is actually in now. I will do another walk around of the drag bike when I can get all the way around it. At the moment, because I'm working on this, the drag bike's a bit pushed to one side. There's quite a few changes done to this bike over time, over the last 2 years. I'll turn in a bit so you can see it the way it is at the moment. I've still got work to do over the winter on it. I need to check the valve clearances for one. I'm changing the gear selector drum so I can run a rotary part on the 2016 loom, so that means a new loom put on again. How many looms have I been putting on? H2 one's going to be done yet. Parts for that have not turned up yet, as of yet. I would be notified as soon as I know they're in stock. A few of the bits are already in, but they're waiting for the main bits, probably like the loom and the ECU. They probably don't stock them because they don't normally expect people to buy them. Unless it's desperate need sort of thing, unless they've crashed or they've had a fault or something, and it's normally a manufacturer recall or whatever. But this bike, as I say, been quite heavily modified. It is when I put the number plates on, still classed as road legal. It does have an MOT on it. It is insured. At the moment it's showing off road because it's winter time over here. But yeah, it is actually road legal, ZX14R. You wouldn't like to go around corners too much with it because it is lowered, and there is devices on either side of it which could catch floor. So it's not ideal. It's more ideal for you guys in the States. It says, I'll just quick turn around from here, see if you can see a little bit from behind. You can see the nitrous bottles there on one side. That's my particular race number in the class I'm in. It does have what we call an evil spring arm, so it's quite a long wheelbase on that. The device there where you can see the oil filter dangling down. I have put a low sump on it, so it doesn't have an oil cooler where it would have an oil cooler. That white device, or that silver device above the oil filter, is actually a Motul Laminova oil cooler, and that is goes in line of your water hose, and then you take an oil feed, which I've used a sandwich plate, which normally a lot of car people use to put different oil coolers on, which actually goes on where the oil filter normally goes now, is where the oil cooler used to be. So that is actually on the block rather than on the sump. So and because of that, the sandwich plate brought the oil filter out too far, so it had to go on an angled situation to be able to stick out at the side like that. And unfortunately it's pointing in the downward direction a little bit. No issues on the track with it. I'm always careful when I'm going cornering and stuff like that. On the road you would have issues to have that on there really. I do have an old rusty, which I'll bring you up, cover that I used to use on my trike, which will fit over that oil filter. It was a chrome cover, but it's rusty now. which would do some protection if I did go on the road. I'd put that on anyway, and make, if it did hear any noise on that side, then I know too low. And if you go too low, you'll be off. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it really from this side. Unless I go into more detail, which I'm not going to at the moment. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to turn off. I'm going to do a few bits on the bike, and I will then get back to you what I've actually been doing. Hi everyone. It's getting on late. It's been it's only going to be a quick talk from me here now, and I'll be showing you what I've actually done. A lot of the trouble was finding out where everything was, wires were being routed, and I had to refer back to the manual a good few times just to make sure, because it's not always as self-explanatory as what you'd think it would be. Because on this particular machine there's a lot of rubber shrouding over the top of the engine, down each side of the engine, a plastic cover in front of the top engine at the top near the head before the radiator goes on. So you need to make sure all the wires and everything are routed through correctly before putting everything on, which I did have one wire routed the wrong way round, and that plug, I was wondering what it was. That white plug was actually for the what I call a pair valve system, but they call it the purge valve system, which is what actually it sort of helps with a bit of smooth running really, and it takes in hot air from the top of the head back in through the airbox. It's a little bit like an EGR valve, I suppose, on a car, except they use the exhaust gases to recirculation on that one. I've managed to fit the radiator. I've done the radiator. I had to get a fan from my drag bike, partly because I borrowed it off my road bike for my drag bike, because I did have two high flow fans on my drag bike, but one was catching the exhaust system, because it's a very unusual exhaust system, so I had to steal that back, but I didn't want to strip the whole bike to get to it, because you, in theory, to get to a fan you've got to sort of take the radiator off and try and get to it and all that, but I managed to do it with a bit of jiggery pokery, so that took a bit of time as well. I have also fitted the new under tray on the vehicle, which is something I wasn't particularly looking forward to going back and doing again, because it was either pull all the loom off or try and take it off with the loom in situ, which I managed to do. It just means the loom will drop through the rear subframe, and it's heavier than what you think it would be. Well, mine is definitely because of the extra added weight and electronics that have been added to the vehicle. I think I'll just turn the camera around now, and I will show you what I've done and anything that I would think could be an issue, and what might be my plans for tomorrow, depending, because I've got a busy day again tomorrow in the day, same Tuesday and Wednesday, and well, pretty much most of it. Okay, well, I'll turn the camera around now, and I'll show you what I've been doing. Yeah, from this side, as I say, I was trying to find out where the wires were being routed, and this is, you wouldn't think it'd go over the top of the bottom crank sensor housing, but it does. It goes through over the top of there, and it goes through a hole on the side here, and then that goes to the oxygen sensor plug. This is the O2 optimizer for the power commander, and then it goes back through the rubber housing again, back out to the oxygen sensor. So if you're wondering what the two holes are for, one's in and one's out, it would just normally join and go straight through without this particular device. It would normally go straight through and back out to the bottom again. As I say, I've managed to get the hoses and the radiator on. I say fans are on. Now this fan comes through where the two hose pipes come through there as well. There's like see if I can get in a bit brighter in there. Yeah, there's like an odd blonde thingy there, like, I can't get my words out here, but it's in the rubber and it's in the top plastic as well. And one of the hoses, your bottom that goes on there, that one actually goes back to the thermostat housing, which goes over the top of the engine there. That's why it's braided. and into the thermostat housing there, and the other one then goes through there across the top of the head and in there. Oh, I don't know if we can get to see it, but we'll try to see if we can see it. Might need a bit of light on that one. Let's see if we can get the light on. Maybe not. Let's turn the light on this. Anyway, there's the pair valve system is in there. It's hard to see. It's really hard to see. And on the side of the pair valve there is a like a little round loop where you can loop the hose through, and then the hose then goes back to the bottom half of the reservoir bottle, which then goes through the thingy and down the other side, which I'll show you the other side. I've put the cap on for now. This thing clips on here for now. That's just stop the cap from backing off. Once you've got the outside fairing on, that will stop that from moving, and the cap will not inadvertently come off by mistake. This, as I say, this fan wire which comes up from here goes through the same hole with the hoses, and you have a round loop. Oh, can we see here where it loops into and then clips in to its other half, which is the loom that comes from the headlamp area, and through the top of there the what we call is the idle valve. It's like it's automatic idle on this pipe. It'll automatically adjust, comes through there as well. Now the wiring I was on about that I got the wrong way round is this particular wire. Let's see, that particular wire there, I had it going the other way from the other part of the engine connecting up. Now that goes over the top, across the head, and connects into the pair valve on the way to joining up to, I think it's the coils or injectors. It's one of the others. I can't remember which one it is without giving now. I haven't plugged that in on the other side yet. Also on this side, what else have I done? I've connected underneath. I've connected the horn on and the plastic tray that goes on with it, and as you see there's another plastic loop that holds the wire in for the horn, stop it from dangling down and potentially catching the front wheel. You don't want any wires or any sort of catching the wheel. So the horn's on there, and on the bottom of the radiator you have one bolt at the bottom of the radiator that is bolted from the other side through to this threaded this side, and then you have two at the top. I've used Allen keys so it's a bit easier for me to get them on and off, and normally a 10mm nut. Partly I've used the Allen keys is because I couldn't only find one 10mm nut, so I thought I'd keep them both the same and use the and then actually, believe it or not, they're front wheel pinch bolts, but they'll more than do the job. Coming round to the rear, I have changed the under tray, as you can see, for a nice new one, and the wire that's coming out there is actually for the number plate light, which I haven't decided. I've bolted the subframe in at the rear. It's a M10 bolt, and you need a nut for the other side, so it doesn't particularly matter what side or what type of thread you have. I think Kawasaki tend to use a 1.25 pitch, where you can use a 1.5 pitch as long as the nut or the nylock. Try and use a nylock because it's on the subframes, so, or the metal style nylock ones that these Japanese manufacturers tend to use. And there's also a 10mm nut there that goes into a rubber well nut, which holds the top half of the subframe, the under tray up, which I probably didn't show you before. As you can see, also put the regulator rectifier on, and there's two bolts that go in to the frame, one at the lower half of the frame and one to the upper part, and two bolts that bolt into the bracket that is actually bolted into that. I've took the rear wheel out again because of getting the under tray in and out easier. Coming to the other side, there's a 10mm nut that's supposed to go in there, which I haven't put in yet, which holds the under tray up a little bit tighter like that and helps with your plastic cover that covers the cables, the plastic cover on top that covers the cable for the middle part of the seat. and there's two screwdriver heads there holding that on. There's the other 10mm this side. This is indicators. If you're wondering what this extra wire is what it is, I have had sorry, right there, there's one on each side. What it is I had and I might still use one inside the light unit at the rear. There's been a lot of riders been like the indicators inside the rear light unit, but unfortunately in the UK it's not legal on the MOT. So my little sneaky way is I can unplug it, if you know what I mean. I will extend them so it's easier to get to, because I'm not quite long enough to be underneath the seat. So I will extend those wires, shrink wrap them, solder and shrink wrap and extend it, and then put bullets on the other end, or some form of connections anyway. The other light plug at the back is for the rear light unit on its own, and there's two self-tapping screws in the top of there. I know, sorry I'm not standing up, I'm still in my wheelchair again. I will have to stand up for this next bit though. Going round, you can see I've got one of those silly data tool alarms. I'm just hoping it's going to work when I get the bike up and running. Right, I'm going to try and stand up now. Yeah, your rear ABS sensor is that plug there, which goes onto a bracket, a L bracket onto there, and also what's in there is that one there, which is your rear rear brake light switch connection. As I say, we have that data tool alarm, and we have my electronic gear change, which will be velcroed in there, but I need to sit whether I want the wires underneath the loom or above the loom. Not decided on that as of yet. I've sort of put the ECU back in place and the relay box back in place for now. We'll have to probably come back out again when I put the light unit in, because you have three screws that go in, self-tapping screws that go into the light unit, and two of them are a bit awkward to get to if you have that connected in. Now if you needed to get to that to change the light unit, the bolts that go in there through your what's name will be tamper-proof bolts if you haven't changed them already. The only way of getting around them is trying to tap and knock them round out and then replace them with something else. But if you have a new vehicle, it may well invalidate your warranty, because they do not like things like that. As I say, this is out of warranty. This side, the what's the name plug goes on here for your hose from your stator. The stator, that wire goes directly into your stator. This one goes up to run and plugs into your regulator rectifier, which is up there, and it is obviously the white one, the grey one at the bottom, and the black one at the top goes back into your charge system. So that should go, if I remember correctly, into the loom, yeah, and then we'll probably go back to your battery to charge your battery and everything. Otherwise, I've not done much else here on that. It's just a matter of changing that under tray. Now this side, there's a lot of things here, if I remember rightly. There's a bracket there, and you have, let's see if I focus on it, and in that hole there you have one of those fancy clips in, and then you've got like a big plastic tie which then holds this loom up into place where it should be, and any other wires you've got running through there as well would be advised to have on that as well. I'm not sure if it's the correct place, I will check later, but I've run this wire, this fan wire, through the frame there. I believe there's a bracket or something, I can't find it, where it actually sits like that on the other half of it, which is there, will plug into the top of it. I had to take this off. This is the other plug I was on about, that the other half has to be pulled through from the other side, which is there at the moment. I will pull it through tomorrow and put it in situ in the correct place. I've also connected the throttle, which is obviously, that's the pull side of it, not the return. Also, obviously this hose has been connected, kept the slinky on, which is to protect it from any heat or anything. That was the fan I had to get off the other vehicle, so I got that off the other vehicle and put that in situ as well. And a lot of it was routing wise. Now I've also put on mine, just in line for now, it's not connected at either ends, a braided clutch, hydraulic clutch, braided one rather than the rubber one, because it normally comes metal through there, through your rubber grommet, and then comes down at the bottom where it goes to the hydraulic clutch bit. Also note, this shaft would normally be out on your vehicle quite far. I have no clutch on the other side of this vehicle yet, so that will not be pushing it back at the moment, but it will do when I put the clutch in, which might be another job for tomorrow. I think that is pretty much what has been done today. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what's been done today. I just can't say there's been much more else. It's just been all a bit finicky and little jobs. I say I've still got to put the chain guard off, put the inner sprocket back on. I don't think I'm going to be putting that on until I've got a chain, but I need to order a chain. I haven't ordered the chain yet. That is your overflow from your, well, it's to catch any oil that comes from your airbox. I have also got to feed through 2 breathe pipes. Well, one's an overflow pipe from the tank and one's a breathe pipe from the tank down. They come down and they come through this big clip here. This is the overflow for the coolant, goes through there as well. On my drag bike it doesn't go through there. I have it going into a little catch tank which goes the other way towards the radiator, because the catch tank's held on the radiator. It's a bit more difficult on this side when it comes to with my bike, because I do also have to have a motor go in here, which is for my electronic side stand, with 2 cables that come down, go along, and they do a push-pull system on the side stand. That's why the side stand's not just bolted up as of yet. But I will get back on it tomorrow, and I will get back to you again tomorrow with what else I have done. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share. Share to your heart's content. As I say, there's been a few people already been pretty much learned a few things from my videos. I'm not claiming that I know everything, and if I do find something wrong, I've done wrong, I will correct myself, as you've seen with my recent videos. Oh, there was one other thing on the other side before I go. That earth strap I told you, I was going through the frame and up towards the earth on the frame, was wrong. I've managed to pull it through. It comes through from, there it is there, if I can get it, focus in on it, there. On the bolt just the other side of there. I managed to get to it, but it actually runs up and it goes up to that bolt there. This is also an earth that comes from your, let's focus in on that, it's a bit better. It goes, oh jeez, I can see where it's going to already now. Starting solenoid. And then you'll have a earth that will come direct from the back of the battery, from the earth side of the battery, over the top of the battery, and that will come to there as well. And anything else you've got that you're finding it doesn't seem to be working properly, I will try and run either a direct earth back to the battery or to this earth, or you could use that bolt or that bolt. They don't seem to be used on the UK models. I think they're more used on other models, possibly California models, where they have that that system, what do you call it, a cylinder, they call it, is it called the evaporator system, because of the emission laws over in California. So they may be used for something through there, but they don't seem to be used on the UK model, so you could quite easily use them as earths. I really cleaned them out with a tap, just in case I did want to use them. And notice what I learned from an auto electrician was, the more lives you put on a vehicle, the more earths you'll need. Because it's like, you add more, you've got to give it a way of escaping more. That's the way you explained it to me. Makes sense. And the more earths you put on one bolt, the more that bolt comes under struggle. You wouldn't think so, but it does. So spread your earths across a few, as long as it's going into the main chassis. And that's what I've learned in my drag racing as well. So it does work. I had a problem with the earth for my nitrous controller, so I run an earth directly all the way back to the battery, direct to the earth to the battery, and that's it, solved the problem. And that was earth to the direct to the rear subframe, but it just wasn't getting through. Right, I'll catch you up again, and I will have another video for you tomorrow.